Okay, so now that I've entered a property, we can do some units in that property. So we'll say unit 1, okay, and we could enter all this information if we wanted to. Again, the different types of fields that are available here. Okay, so this actually has, instead of being a free-form key like we entered in on our property maintenance window, this was actually a lookup back to that property maintenance form, and then had a secondary, kind of like the customer address did, where I had the customer and then the address ID. So we can do that as well with our keys. The third type of format we have for keys is going to be on our next one, where we have tenants. Now I need to put somebody in there, make them rent it, right? So did I save that? Yeah, I think I did. This is an auto increment. So similar to how document numbers do things, we can auto increment IDs as well, so you don't have to make them up. I'll purchase or live in this unit, so we created BMI and we entered that property in there. So those are lookups back to those other forms that we've created. And now I can track information about this tenant. You know, when did their lease start, that type of stuff. So we've kind of created this whole module that's all linking itself together using forms. And I can go back to that GP data. We went back and got the employees, that type of thing. Now with forms, we have what we call extra windows. And that gives us the option to actually add more data to this form than it already can store. So I have one called employment here, where against this tenant, tenant 15, I can store even more data. So I can store who their employer is, you know, how long they've been there, what's their contact, that type of stuff. And it's going to store against that specific tenant. We call these extra windows. And they just create buttons across the bottom. And if you have more than 8, which is the space for the buttons, we just go to this menu here. But you can have as many as you want. I have a previous address one too, so I can track that if I want to. Now, everything I've done so far has been Extender Standard available. Remember I said there was 2 versions, Standard and Enterprise. So everything's been in Standard, which is the lower end of the 2 versions. So nothing you couldn't do with having that one. Okay, here's the setup of that form. Now, I'm just going to save this record and we'll pull it back up. Extender Enterprise is going to add on some functionality to me and allow me to do things that the Standard won't. What I have is a occupants form. I want to store who actually lives in this unit, not just the main person because they probably live with other people. Let me store who else lives in there. So I have one set up with a scrolling grid to store their name, age, and relationship to the main tenant. Well, I wanted that as an extra window, so I could link that form in here as an extra window using the features in Extender Enterprise. It has an option to, on that button, link to another form instead of just entering 15 more fields. Okay, so that's an option with Extender Enterprise where I can pull one form from another form, type of deal like that, and link them together. Vehicles does the same thing, opens another form, but it's about the vehicles instead. The other thing Enterprise allows us to do from these forms is link back to GP stuff. So I wanted to open the cash receipts window because I'm going to sit in this tenant maintenance most of the day. I want to be able to enter their rent checks, their deposits, that type of stuff right from here. So I created a cash receipt extra window that's going to open the cash receipts window in GP. So if I click that, it opens the cash receipt entry, actually puts in the customer ID as a customer. Because they just entered them, they don't exist. GP says, do you want to create that as a customer? So I'll add them. And now I can create a cash receipt, and we'll say they pay $1,500. Expensive unit. And now I can save that, right? Or I could post it, whatever I need to do. Now, I can't remember if I entered that check yet. Let's come in and I can go to the history as well using Extender Enterprise to see, oh, yep, I did, here it is, and get to that inquiry window where I can see all of the information entered against that customer. So just some examples of what Enterprise will do, additional to just capturing that data and being able to report on it. We can now make it kind of flow throughout the system so that I didn't have to go to cash receipts, enter in the customer ID, and pull it up that way. It just automatically did it for me. Okay. So that's a little bit about a form. And again, I created a menu, so I just added those to a menu, and it went under cards because that's where I told it to go. We have people using Extender that will just create menus for GP windows, because it doesn't have to be Extender forms that go on your menu. You can put GP windows on there. So they'll create month-end menus. So all of the windows they access in a month-end process, in the order they need them, go on their menu. They don't use that menu very often, but when they need it, it's there to go access. So different things like that, or if you want to put all the windows you use in one day on a menu so you don't go all over the place in GP, you can certainly do that type of stuff as well. Now I want to show you just some other things that Extender Enterprise adds on to just the standard version. So I'm going to open the sales transaction entry window in GP, and you may have noticed it on the cash receipts, or may have kind of went, why didn't she have to enter in a batch ID when she hit save on there? Extender Enterprise, I'm using it to automatically populate the batch ID here. And when I say populate it, it's automatically populating it, and it's going and getting the user ID that's logged into GP, so it says SA, and the user date that I have set up in GP at this moment. Now I didn't format it to be in here the same way, so it says the year, month, day instead of month, day, year, but it's the same date, so that's how I'm formatting my batches. Okay. Now everything we've done up to this point, we didn't have to write any code to do. But if you want to write code, Extender Enterprise opens it up to do that as well. So this action to create these batches actually is writing some code. Now don't be scared. Can't write code, I can't do this stuff. That's fine. I'm pretty positive that IBMI has some people on staff that can write this for you. We at E1 can help you write this stuff as a service. So there's somebody that can help you write it. You don't have to know how to write code, and when I say code, it's dexterity, which is what GP is written in. But to get batch ID in there, here is the, what is it, like 15, 20 lines of code that we had to write to pull in the batch ID based on the user ID and the user date. Now to actually go get that user ID and date, it's 3 lines. But when you enter in a batch and it doesn't exist, it says, do you want to create this batch? And we had to take care of all that logic as well. So that's that whole middle section there to take care of that logic. So that's an example of what Enterprise can do, but if we take it a step further on that window, then we'll enter in an invoice. And we'll just do it for our good friend Aaron Fitz here. And the PO number is just going to be me. Okay, so I'm going to tab off of that. This is Extender Enterprise adding some logic to this window that I need internally, but GP didn't do. So internally, we say you can't have the same customer PO number for that customer exist on 2 different documents in sales transactions. So it went and checked, as soon as I tabbed off that customer PO number, all of the transactions for Aaron Fitz, that whether it's an invoice, an order, a quote, whatever it be in sales orders or in sales transactions, to see if that combination already existed. It did, so it popped up a message and says, hey, there's already a document for that customer, that purchase order number, what do you want to do? And so we've defined, okay, what are my options at this point? I can delete this invoice and start again, and basically all that does is do the same thing as this delete option here on the Actions button. I can continue and just keep entering it on. I've gotten approval to do this one time. Maybe there's a notes window that we put in here to say who approved it, that type of thing. However you need that done. But in this scenario, you know, I better check what it is. I want to open the inquiry window. So I can open the sales order processing inquiry. It automatically put in the document it found. And we have it set up to be in history because most of ours are posted. This one happened to not be, so I'm going to flip it to unposted and redisplay. Oh, and there is. That quote does actually have that same customer and PO number on it. So I can decide what I want to do from this point. And I could go delete this or whatever I want to do. Okay, so that's just another example of what Enterprise can do for you. That one again took some code and logic because I wasn't doing something GP had built into it, something that's common to Extender. It was very specific to my business. So I had to do that using a little bit of logic and code in there. But if that's something that interests you, with Extender, we actually have a bunch of templates on our website. So I'm just going to the Extender downloads here. We have templates, and those two templates are actually out here. So there's one for the default batch ID. It's already built for you if you want to use that from scratch. Or you can modify it if you want to change the date format around. You know, you probably can go in there and figure out that code. Or we can do that for you. The duplicate PO number check one is right there. That exact code that I just used is right there for you. Even our property management one is out here that we looked at today. So a lot of them are out here for you to use as examples to actually use live if you want to, that type of thing. Okay. The other one I want to show you is Extender gives you an option for notes. So in GP, if we just take our customers for example, we'll just pull up Aaron Fitz. GP allows me to enter in notes like this, you know, and the bad thing here is that if I need another one, I just keep doing this, right? Maybe it's even a requirement for us that I have to put in the who did that and the date and time I did that at. Well, that gets kind of annoying, and it's hard to report on because it's one big note. You can't report each note individually. So what Extender can do for you is create note windows. And so here's a customer notes one that I have. And I can just add multiple notes, and when I do that, it's storing the user, the date and time that just did that. If I edit it, it updates that information. Enter another note, and it's physically a separate SQL record, so when I report on this data, it's two separate records. I didn't have to go and look at that big long field and try and pull it out myself for reporting purposes. You can actually print this, export it to Excel if you want, but it is SQL data, so we can pull it into SmartList, we can put it on your into a view and create, pull that into your other reporting tools. The setup on those is fairly simple. Let's look at our customer one. Basically picking the window you want it on, and that's all I had to do. You have an option to put types on there, so I can add a type of email, phone, and other. And now when I do those notes, you can see a type field. So if I add a new one, I can pick that type. Okay, and you can go back and add types on the existing ones if you add that later. But that way you can even categorize your notes a little bit too. So we have that option with Extender as well. And you can have as many windows as you want, as many forms as you want. When we talk about windows, I can set up 40 windows on one Extender window if or one GP window if I want to. There's no limit to how many Extender windows you can set up for any one GP window. There's no limit to the max number of forms you can set up, anything like that. It's set up what you need. Now we do have options for importing data. Extender has an import built into it where I can, let's go to one that actually has some stuff in it, where I can import into, say, our customer shipping information window that we had, and you can actually do it from a tab delimited, comma delimited type of file or Excel and import it in. That's only for new data, and it's assuming that you have the data correct in those files. It doesn't have any data verification process in it. Now, we also have Extender built into Smart Connect, which is an integration product that we at E1 have, where it can really do that robust integration for you. You know, it can write into existing data, it can overwrite, do new data, overwrite the existing, and it'll do that data verification for you if you're interested in that process. So if you're doing it more on a continual basis, Smart Connect would probably be where we'd probably have you go so that you can do your GP data, your Extender data all in one import process. So we do have that available as well for you there. Okay, now I know Michael talked about how we're doing a promotion for extender, so let me just go to our shop and give you that information just so you're aware. There is the pricing for Extender Standard versus Enterprise. If you are a standard customer and the few things I showed you for Enterprise today kind of perked your interest, we can just do the difference between them. So there's an upgrade there that we can do. If you're on 2013, 2015, 2016, it's as simple as a new set of registration keys to change between the two. So it's a real simple process. Um, if you're thinking, hey, you know, I need Smart List Builder to bundle with it, so we can do that. You know, there was a discount on that together, those, so you can certainly do that. And we have a lot of training and services that we'll offer around Extender as well as Interdyne BMI has some different services they'll offer there for you as well. Okay, so I think that is what I have, so I will open it to questions, and Michael will let me know if there's any in the queue.
We have not received any yet, but I will give a
Okay.
few minutes here and let them start pouring in.
Okay, good. And there is my email as well as Michael's again, just in case you need anything after this. Certainly reach out to us and let us know if you have questions or anything, want to see something specific. You know, everything I showed was specific to kind of one scenario, but just think of it in your scenario, can we do it? And you can actually download Extender from our website. Go to the e1solutions.com, pick downloads, pick Extender, download the appropriate version for what you're using. You can use it in Fabricam without registration keys. So you can set up your windows. Try it out. You know, maybe don't do all your fields. Just set up something that you're interested in. See how it works for you. You can certainly do that.
Don't be too afraid to submit questions, guys.
I put them all to sleep.
Well, if we don't have anything, we can get out a little bit early here.
Okay. Well, and if they just don't want to ask it here, if you guys certainly email us, let us know. If you have questions, we're happy to assist, happy to talk to you one-on-one and assist you that way.
Yeah, great. So if any later questions do come up, feel free to reach out to myself, Nicole, or your account executive if you'd like to learn more about anything you heard today. And on behalf of everyone at Interdyne BMI, we just want to thank you for your attendance. We'll get out a little bit early today, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Actually, whoa. We do have one question before it got closed.
Okay.
Are there any training manuals on Extender?
Unfortunately, that is the one we don't have yet. That is my goal for the summer. On the downloads page, we do have the product manual. I wouldn't recommend printing the PDF. It is there to download. It's over 300 pages, but this will walk you through any one little thing in Extender. It's just not designed as a training manual, but I am working on a self-paced training where it'll be some videos and exercises and stuff that you can walk through at your own pace. So we will have that. Unfortunately, right now, it's still in the works that I'm working on, but you can look at this manual for whichever version you're using. Again, that was just downloads, Extender, and then pick the manual for whichever version you want. You can view it online so you can kind of find the sections you need.
Well, great. Any last questions, guys? Submit them real quick. All right, well, that might be it here.
Okay.
Alrighty, guys. Yeah, here are our emails one more time. If anything does come up, feel free to reach out to either of us here. And with that, I think we will close it down. So you guys all have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.